It's a great
and meddling
point.
parent, and now the NFL draft, and we're having these conversations, and no one wants to insult involved fathers. Obviously, involved fathers, great thing. You want the support of old pops, and you want him around, and you want him incredibly passionate about what you're doing. But when you are a professional, what you don't want is your dad taking it too far. And I think here was an example of a father living vicariously through his son in the moment. 100%. And there's a difference. There's a difference, parents, between supporting your kid and living vicariously through your kid. And it feels like in that moment that John Halliburton forgot that he's not Tyrese Halliburton, that he's in a different position there a little bit. You can't run onto the court and take on Giannis. By the way, Giannis, very large person. John Halliburton, not such a large person.
Hey,
the goal.
How professional was Giannis to not come to blows?
John Halliburton is very lucky that Giannis handled himself the way that he did, because Giannis looks like he could have broken him in half, and he probably could have.
I would have. If I'm Giannis.
The cool-headedness of Giannis was remarkable.
Amber, if I'm Giannis in that moment and the adrenaline is running, right, and we're in the middle of a playoff game, and I just got my ass whipped, and I'm going home, and Dame, my running mate, couldn't be out here with me. He's hurt, and some old guy is getting in my face and screaming at me. I am. I mean, there is going to be, and I would not be able to control myself.
You have too much to lose if you're Giannis, though. You have way too much to lose.
Yeah, no, 100%. But there's a right hook coming. I mean, right to the ribs. Not to the face, but right to the,
as a lawyer, it's a beautiful thing. It's like when he sues Giannis, then did John Halliburton assume the risk by running onto the court? I'm pretty sure he did, but undoubtedly he would try to sue Giannis in that situation. How would the NBA have handled that? Because Giannis clearly would have been provoked.
That's how close it could have been.
Then we would have been talking about Giannis can't handle his emotions. He needs to handle his emotions better. All that nonsense, all because of the actions of Tyrese Halliburton's father.
That is how close this thing could have gotten. What you, again, set it up as an attorney. What most people, I would say 9 out of 10, if you're in that situation, right, you just got your ass whipped. And here's this guy coming up and talking noise. I'm sorry. That's why Giannis is a remarkable professional, in a profession where you have to have controlled emotions. Because I promise you, I would not have had that kind of restraint. I've watched it a million times today.
Yeah.
And there's a right hook coming to John Halliburton's ribs. Every time I watch it, there's no way I can be that professional as Giannis was, to your point.
So let's hear from Giannis. Here's the Bucks forward after the game on his confrontation with Tyrese Halliburton's father.
Somebody said, which I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his son, and I'm happy that he's happy for his son. That's how you're supposed to feel. But coming to me and disrespecting me and cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Okay? And I'm not the guy that points his fingers, because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches. So I don't want to say something, for him to say to get fined or anything. But it's not disrespectful. I talked with him at the end. And I think we're in a good place.
So I wake up this morning and I hear that immediately.
Watching you laugh
on
out loud.
SportsCenter,
right?
Because I hear it on like the 6 a.m. SportsCenter. And I'm like, did Giannis just say snitches get stitches? Which was, by the way, something I used to say all the time, because there was a local rapper in Miami that used to say it. So it became a catchphrase on our show down there. But Giannis just in a press conference say snitches get stitches, because that was amazing. None of the rest of us was, but he handled himself beautifully. Certainly John Halliburton is lucky that Giannis did have the professionalism that Giannis did have in that moment. But here's also the cruddy part of it, Ian, is that Tyrese Halliburton, who had gotten voted overrated by the anonymous poll in The Athletic, and he tweeted out afterwards, how's that for overrated? Because Tyrese Halliburton won that game. Heck, he won that series, but he won that game for the Pacers last night. It was his big moment.
Giannis. Yeah, right. We talked about it last night.
His big moment, and you know what happened to his big moment, Ian? Instead of us all talking about Tyrese Halliburton today and how spectacular he was, we're talking about his father.
Yeah,
his father stole the show from his own son, and I think that's maybe the worst part of this.
Go ahead and elaborate. Yeah, because I'm with you. I had not thought about that until you mentioned that in our pre-show meeting, and you are spot on. Because we talked about it last night when it was happening live. When Halliburton drives past Giannis, and remember, folks, they blew a 7-point lead in 30 seconds. 30 seconds last night. Hadn't been done in forever. And when Halliburton blows past Giannis,
Giannis was defending Halliburton on that play that Halliburton ends up winning the game for the Pacers. Rip your heart out moment.
We said it last night. You rip his arm off. You do whatever you can to prevent that layup.
Yes.
He didn't. It happens. And then for Halliburton's dad to come on the floor, I had not thought about that aspect until you mentioned it in our pre-show meeting. And for people just tuning in, go ahead. Floor is yours, Amber, because you're spot on. The dad took away the shine from the son.
He took it. He took the moment from his own son. And Tyrese Halliburton deserved that moment. Because the trust also that Indiana showed in Tyrese in that moment where they knew Giannis was going to be defending Tyrese Halliburton. 100%. Giannis is like a whole person bigger than everybody, including Tyrese Halliburton. So the fact that Giannis is out there defending him and Tyrese Halliburton is able to just smoothly, by the way, sidestep, get around him, get straight to the basket for the game-winning layup, does not get touched. It was beautiful. It was artistry. And then John Halliburton got too excited, let his emotions get the best of him, and forgot that he himself is not an NBA player, and he cannot run onto the court and start screaming at NBA players. So now it's going to be interesting to see what the NBA does moving forward. If that was John Hallibro instead of Halliburton, he would be potentially arrested, but he certainly would be banned from games forevermore. I don't expect that to happen.
John Murphy is not on the floor. Yeah.
I don't expect that to happen. I think they're putting him up in a suite, but it'll be interesting to see how the NBA handles it. All right. Let's move it along because there's so much to cover tonight here on Amber and Ian. And coming up next, we've got to talk about another familial problem in sports here. Remember that whole son of the Falcons DC who stole Shedeur Sanders' phone number? Well, the Falcons have levied some punishment, but not to the son. Of course, they can't. We'll get into that next right here on ESPN Radio.
In my neighborhood, snitches get stitches.
The NBA playoffs on ESPN Radio.
Edwards, right side three.
The Timberwolves win 2 straight in Minneapolis and take a 3-1 lead over the Lakers. Can LA survive a must-win Game 5? Coverage begins tonight at 9:30 Eastern with tip-off at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Presented by Indeed.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 1-800-983-6530. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Some things you just have to experience live.
Like spring meet at Churchill Downs, where amazing moments come a half mile a minute. Experience Downs After Dark, where night comes to life on May 17th and June 21st. Twilight Thursdays, where happy hour rides into the sunset through June 26th. And Family Adventure Day, where memories stack up on June 8th. This spring meet, the race exhilarates. So live in the moment and get your tickets today at churchilldowns.com.
Hey, Gen X. Obviously, we're not 25 anymore, but with Factor 4, you can feel like you are. With fish oil, turmeric, CoQ10, and garlic, it fights inflammation, supports joints and heart health, and helps you stay strong. It's our #1 best-selling product for a reason. Because like all Live Good products, it's top quality without the expensive markups. Over 1.5 million people have already made the switch. Are you ready? Get yours today at livegood.com.
Every single day, thousands of distressed cats are sitting alone in shelter cages, forced to endure the intense fear and loneliness of abandonment as well as the risk of being euthanized. At Golden Paw Society, we are dedicated to the rescue of shelter cats and giving them all they need to be adopted into their forever homes. To find out more about our life-saving mission, go to goldenpawsociety.org. That's goldenpawsociety.org. Sponsored by Golden Paw Society.
Hi, it's Mike Greenberg letting you know to stay tuned at 3 o'clock later today for the Justin Kinner Show. You can also stream the show live at WINGAM.com.
Texas versus Arkansas, Friday, 8 Eastern on SEC Network.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Thursday, we'll continue to react to the NBA playoffs and wonder what's next for the teams that have been eliminated. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Adversity, dealt with a muddy pocket. He's done it with everything NFL conditions leads you to have to deal with.
We've established a couple of things. We think he has a chance to legitimately compete for the quarterback job at some point in the relative near future. Our message to him is got to come in and work, and you got to come in and compete.
Today that they have fined their defensive coordinator $100,000 in response to his son stealing the number of Shedeur Sanders and then prank calling him in the NFL draft. And really what the fine here is for, Ian, it seems like, because the NFL fined the Falcons $250,000 and then fined the actual defensive coordinator $100,000. And it seems like the fine is because you allowed access to this very protected information, which I guess I understand. But the problem with this is I don't know if it's reasonable to expect your adult son, your grown-ass son in your own household to go and steal information off your devices.
All right. What would you do? Like, I have a brother. I have a brother who does coach in the NFL, right? And I can't imagine what he would have done to his grown-ass brother, who's older by a decade than he is.
Meaning if you went and stole
if I would have done something like that, I mean, Devin. Yes, I went government name there, Dev. If you're listening, right? I mean,
is that when Devin knows he's in trouble? Because like you're a big brother, and then you go with full Devin instead of Dev, and he's like, the hair on the back of his neck stands up.
In football circles, he goes by Fitz. It's a long James Franklin conversation, right? But anyway, we can touch on that coming up. When he was a GA for James Franklin, the head coach at Penn State, but he does not go by Devin in football circles. But bottom line is, if I would have done that, right, and I'm a decade older than my brother,
Devin would have killed you.
Fitz would have, when I say annihilated, he would have been on a plane from Seattle, flown to Texas, and put a butter knife in my gut and watch me slowly bleed out. I mean, it is. I cannot imagine what I would do to one of my kids. My wife actually had a great example, and a punishment, what she would have done, because obviously we have a relative in football circles that they do get every cell phone number for every player that is available in the draft.
I mean, you have a lot of phone numbers as well, just working in the media, of people that you wouldn't necessarily want other people getting a hold of, and certainly you wouldn't want your kids. You have a kid in college. I'm going to pose
this to you.
So yeah, if your daughter in college stole a phone number off your cell phone.
She is a freshman at Oregon, which is very similar. I know where you're going with this, right? And so if Rowan would have gotten any number off of my phone for the NFL draft, which to your point, I do have a lot of them, and I don't use a lot of them, but for the guys that I do know, I will text, and go back and forth. But if she would have pranked any one of them, my wife said, and I thought this is a great punishment, Rowan would be scrubbing whichever team ended up drafting said player. So now we're going Cleveland, right? Was Shedeur Sanders. She would be scrubbing not the men's restrooms, the women's restrooms for an entire season after every home game. Now, why the women's? You might wonder. But why? I'll tell you why. They are 10 times more disgusting than the men's. So
I will say women's public restrooms, I do think, can often be more disgusting than.
That is what my wife came up with as a punishment for our child if they had done what the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, his kid, did as a student at Ole Miss. To your point, this is not some 14-year-old.
No, it's a grown. I mean, I understand we call college students kids because we are older, but they aren't actually kids. When I was 21, and this drives me crazy that we do this because we do this in sports too. We excuse it away because we're all older talking about these guys and these gals, and so we act like 21 you get a pass. 21 you don't get a pass from being responsible. 21 you don't get a total pass from being a complete bonehead.
18 you don't get
a pass. Right. No. And it's not just there's the obvious, you could go to war, you can have kids, you can do this and you can do that and all that kind of stuff. But it's just that you know better. And you certainly should know that you are jeopardizing your father's livelihood. And so if you go do
and to
that,
record it, Amber, and to put it out there publicly, how stupid are you?
So, I mean, it shows so much stupidity. And also such a disregard for your own father. And I think that's what bothers me about it. Because I would imagine that Jeff Ulbrich had supported his son probably at some point in his life, right? And that his job probably helped do that. And so now his son, when he becomes an adult, just cost him $100,000 of his own personal hard-earned money, which for a coordinator is a bleep ton of money to have to lose. I would be so incensed, and I don't know what you do to punish a 21-year-old because, again,
I told you. You're
but he's a
scrubbing
grown
women's
adult.
toilets for a year.
I don't know. No, but you couldn't even enforce that at 21. It would be more like, I'm not paying for college anymore for you, if in fact he's even doing that.
You don't know my wife. She would be enforcing that in a hurry. I mean, in a heartbeat. And to your point, what did he do once he found out that his son was involved? Here's the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons.
I'd like to publicly apologize to Shedeur and Sanders' family for what occurred. Second of all, I want to publicly apologize to Mr. Blaine, Terry Fontenot, Reed Morris, and the entire Falcons organization. My actions of not protecting confidential data were inexcusable. My son's actions were absolutely inexcusable. And for that, we are both deeply sorry. The NFL has taken action, and I fully respect the punishment. We take full responsibility, my son and myself, and we will not be appealing the fine in any way. So I made the Falcons aware of the situation, and then our next course of action was to try to get a hold of the Sanders family so we could apologize in person, which we were able to do. The Sanders family, Shedeur and Coach Sanders, were amazingly gracious, more gracious than they needed to be in a moment like this.
He's a hell of a coach, Amber. He is a hell of a coach.
I feel so bad for him that his son caused him all that crap.
Yep.
And that he's having to go behind mics and answer questions, right?
100%.
And in front of these cameras and answer to it. In addition to coughing up $100,000 of his own money, in addition to his team, his organization that he works for being fined $250,000. It's so embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. And I feel terrible for him because he shouldn't, his son, golly, man, you're 21. Get your stuff together, bro. Like, get your stuff together. It ain't funny.
It's like my wife said. I'm going to humiliate our child to the point where they cannot recover from it, to the point of our humiliation.
Yeah. It's so not cute. It's just so... It's just not cute.
They owned it. They owned it.
Yeah? Well, listen, I hope he's got to learn and, I guess, grow up, because apparently he's forgotten to do that at 21. Coming up next, the voice behind one of the biggest stars in sports right now.
Let's have some fun.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Thursday, the Clippers face an elimination game at home. I'll tell you why all the pressure is on James Harden to get it done. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
You promised.
I took the garbage out.
No, I'm talking about all the work we need to get done around here.
I know. We need a new roof and we need replacement windows.
How about a new bathroom and some overdue remodeling?
And how are we supposed to pay for all that?
My sister said she called Remodeling Loans and they were able to find her certified contractors.
That's great. But how'd she get the money to pay for all that?
Remodeling Loans offered 0 interest for 60 months. They even have payment plans with 0 down and 0 deposit.
Looks like we're getting a home makeover.
Great. Now, if I only knew someone to call for a husband makeover.
Really?
Remodeling Loans is the #1 leader in home improvement financing. Call 800-921-1403 today for a no credit check, no risk approval. Get approved today and we'll match you with the best contractors in your area. And remember, no deposit financing is now available. Call 800-921-1403. 800-921-1403.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Have you heard? Bath Creations has moved to their new location and showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton. This gives you even more opportunity to see the incredible amenities and craftsmanship Bath Creation offers. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful, modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or online at mybathcreations.com and get a new bath today.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
There. Aloha. The
Paul Feinbaum Show. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC Network.
DeLuca, 2-game fives in the NBA playoffs tonight. Rockets and Warriors in Houston. Golden State with a chance to close the series on top 3-1. Warriors 14-7 in 21 road closeout games under head coach Steve Kerr. Only series they lost with an opportunity to clinch the NBA Finals back in 2016. Tip-off in a few minutes. Houston -4.5 tonight. LeBron and Luka trying to erase a 3-1 deficit. They trailed the T-Wolves, trying to stave off elimination tonight. Minnesota looking for back-to-back playoff series wins in back-to-back years for the first time in team history. Lakers -5.5 on ESPN. Bet coverage on ESPN radio affiliates gets underway at 9:30 Eastern. Elsewhere, Hawks guard Dyson Daniels named the NBA's most improved player after averaging a career-high 14 points per game, boosting his scoring average by 8, while also averaging career highs in rebounds and assists. His 3 steals per game, the highest average in a season since Alvin Robertson in 1990-91. Second Hawks player to win the award, joining Allen Henderson back in 1997-98. NHL playoffs, the Caps trying to close out the Canadiens. Washington -205 on ESPN Bet tonight, up 3-1 in the series. Scoreless so far, just inside 11 minutes remaining in the opening period. The game on ESPN TV, and the Caps live -200